Once again, I want to welcome you to the Way Network and to this session, which is the continuation of our previous session that we had some couple of weeks ago. And that has to do with living in natural harmony, the way to escape the negative effect of 2023. You know that we talked in our previous video that 2023, every year, there's an energy that controls the year. And that energy or that power or that force which is in control of the year, has its own expectation and its mandate, and what it's supposed to do in order to cause our earth consciousness to evolve to the next dimension. And that if we don't align with the requirements of that energy and its mandate, then there's going to be a little bit problem and we're going to have a negative effect. But if we know the mandate and the requirements of the energy that is going to rule the year, and we're able to move in line with its mandate and requirements, then there's going to be a mitigation of the negative effect, if not being able to escape it through totally. So, in our previous video, we discussed that the energy which is ruling the year has two mandates, and this mandate or has two requirements, and these two requirements are spirituality and living in harmony with the natural world. Now, when it comes to the spirituality, it has to do with human spiritual evolution, that we need to begin to expand our spiritual knowledge. As we said, now we are in the golden age, and the sun's energy is much more closer to the center of the earth magnetic field. And since the sun's energy is much more closer to the center of the earth magnetic field, that means that there's enormous enlightenment, there's enormous light which is being thrown on our intelligence, to the extent that now the human intellectual faculty can now comprehend the mysteries and the knowledge beyond the physical consciousness. And that will foster into the realm of spiritual development or spiritual enhancement. Now, this is one of the mandates of the energy which is ruling the year 2023. And all those who do not walk in this light, or that who do not move in this direction, would have a little bit of problems. And the problems will be that the requirement will be against the desire of the people who are not moving in line with the requirement of the energy which is ruling our planet at this time. You know, at every given point in time, the energy which is the divine will that rules the planet at every point in time has its own mandate. And when the energy is at large, or it is moving in the direction that it needs to move, all those that are going in opposition to the energy's direction have a lot of problems. So this video or this lecture is to enable you come to the comprehension of what is expected of humanity in this earth evolution, so as we may not bring upon ourselves unnecessary hardship or negative effect. And when we're able to move in line with the flow of the cosmic current that is governing this year, we will be able to avert those things. Now, what is happening is this. People, as I said in the previous video, people say the year 2023 is the year number 7, and number 7 is a good number. But if you visit our previous video, I've explained that everything within this physical manifestation operates on the principle of duality, which is it has its good side and has its bad side. There is a negative effect and there is a positive effect. And whether the negative or the positive effect will be activated is dependent on what we are doing as a people, because we are co-creation of everything which is happening. Because there is a power within our being, and that power within our being, when activate the bigger power which is external of ourselves, which we call the small power within ourselves, we call the microcosm, and the bigger power we call the macrocosm. And these two work hand in hand. So the macro power, which is ordering the activities of the planet Earth, has a requirement of spirituality and living in harmony and the preservation of the natural environment. Now, the micro power which is within us, when activated and it's in opposition to the requirement of the macro force, then there's that friction and misunderstanding. and then we're going to have a negative toll on the planet. But when the micro power, which is within ourselves, is activated, and the knowledge which activates our micro power is in line with the knowledge of the macro power, then there's that cooperation and there's that compliance. And when that happens, you're going to have a very, very nice and cordial relationship with the universe. And most of the things that we may desire, or most of the things that we may want, or most of the things that we may like to happen in our lives will be manifested. So we are continuing this video to explain the various effects this energy which is controlling this planet is going to have on the various human entities. Because human beings, we have so many human beings on earth. But the point of the matter is that we have 12 main categories of human groups. That is what we have. And normally it is called 12 houses, or other astrological knowledge calls it the horoscope, the 12 horoscope, or the zodiac. Now, these are the constitution that makes up the whole human categories. And these constitutions can be divided into 4, which we call the elements. Now, these 4 categories, when you break down the 12 into these 4 categories, we have the fire, water, air, and earth elements. And these 4 categories can further be broken down into 2 categories, which we have the male energy and then the female energy, or the masculine energy and then the feminine energy. So in essence of all this breakdown, that is when the energy is manifesting itself, when it's percolating downwards, the lower it comes, the more degraded it becomes. The more degraded it becomes, then in the finality, we have the man and woman. And when the balance is restored now, there is productivity, there is manifestation and continuity of existence. This is how the structure of life is within the physical consciousness. But when you transcend manifest creation, everything is in one single unit. That is the uncreated self. It is one unit. It is just beingness. There's no separation. There's no difference. Everything is just one. But at the energy dwindles down, or the energy transcends downwards into manifest creation, then we have that separation. The separation onto the very bottom separation, or the base separation, which is the man, woman, when it's fully manifested in the physical form. And then when the union is restored at the base, then life begins to reproduce or replenish itself in terms of giving birth, regeneration and all those things. So this is how the whole structure is like. So if we are to be able to be successful in mitigating the negative effect of the planet, what we need to do is to be able to find out and know what is required of us as human entity within manifest creation, and what the much bigger picture or the micro power requires or expect us to do, and its impact is going to have on our planet. So as we said, when it comes to spirituality, man is a spirit being. Man is a tripartite being. We are spirit with soul trapped in the physical body. So we are spirit souls within a physical body. And unfortunately, because we don't see that spirit soul aspect of ourselves, we focus our attention on the material body, or the gross material body, which is the physical body, which is the flesh that we have here. Now, what happens is that if all our attention is focused on materialism, then we shift from spirituality, which is our true essence. And that is what we need to really invest time and money in. Now, when you watch our world today, we have a lot of people investing their time, energy, resources, everything just to sustain this material body, or just to sustain this physical body, at the expense of the true personality, the true self, which is the soul spirit. And this is a very great illusion. And if you don't have good tutelage, you cannot be able to decipher the difference. We are not living for the physical body. We are living for the non-physical body. Because everything within manifest creation will come to nothing, even including our body. But their essence is to serve the uncreated. Anything which is created, whether it was created by God or by man, either natural or artificial, eventually will come to nothing, will come into nothingness, after it has used its essence to serve the uncreated. There's only one uncreated in this physical consciousness, and which is the self, which is the absolute self. And this absolute self is our spiritual nature, and that is what we need to develop. So this year being number 7, which is the year of spirituality, we need to be able to focus more attention in the development of that self rather than the development or the enhancement or the beautification or the sustainability or the maintenance of the manifest self, which is the body. If we're able to shift our attention or switch the button of our attention to now focusing more on the non-manifest self, which is the non-created self, things will begin to change, because the non-created, which is the absolute self, has to control the manifest self, which is the physical body. But now the kind of knowledge we have is that we have neglected the non-created self and then focus all our attention on the manifest self, which is the physical body. But at the end of the day, if you all bear me witness, someday the non-created self is going to exit the created self, and the created self will go into nothingness, will go into uselessness. But the non-created self will maintain its estate, and that is your true self. This is just a container. The body is just a container housing the non-created self, which is your true self. And that is why when somebody exits its body, we call it mortal remains. That in that when you mention the person's name, the person will not respond, because the true self, which is the power that gives a consciousness to this physical manifested self, is that which we call the non-created self, which is within your being. So this is what we need to do in this present year, or this year 2023. You must invest more time and energy to the development of the self. Once you develop the self and the self begin to take control, the self is all knowing, the self has all the knowledge you need to acquire. The self is very intuitive, can connect and give you directions whichever way you do. The self will help you to live in harmony with the manifest world, which is nature, and the non-manifest world, which is the spiritual world. Now, in so doing, we're able to create a conducive environment or a world around us that we are in control of that world. Then the powers that control the year 2023 will not have any problem with us, and there will not be any adverse effect on us. But any other thing apart from that, we're going to have a lot of problems as a people. As it is said, it has been predicted by many people that there's going to be hardship, there's going to be chaos, there's going to be crisis, there's going to be war. Some people have been predicting World War III and all those things, nuclear battles and all those things. What I want to tell you, just as I said in the previous video, that we should all relax. 2023 is going to be just like any other year. It's going to come and it's going to go like any other year. We're going to go through our normal lives like any other year. People are going to get married. People are going to buy cars. People are going to have their new businesses. People are going to graduate from school. People are going to get employed. People are going to give birth. There will be new life on earth. New plants are going to germinate. On the contrary to, on the other side of it too, people are going to die. People are going to lose their jobs. People will get out of school and not have jobs. People are going to graduate without certificates. People are going to have problems and face issues with the law and end up in prison. People will be released from prison this year. So this is how it's going. Our normal life is going to go on the way it has always been. But the issue has to do with the impact of the energy that controls the year on our lives. And we hold it as a responsibility to ourselves to be able to kind of live a life or pave the way that will mitigate the negative effect and rather activate the positive effect of the energy which is controlling this year, so as it will favor our life in 2023 for the collective good of all humanity. Now, I want to tackle the real impact that the energy which is controlling 2023 is going to have on the individual houses and what we need to do in order to mitigate the negative effect, or if possible, do away with the negative effect so that we can have a more peaceful, blissful, and a fulfilling life in the year 2023 and beyond. In 2023 and going forward, we must be able to know exactly the impact and the requirement of the force that controls the universe. And then once we're able to know that, and then we begin to move in harmony with that force, I think everything will be fine. We are not saying that it's going to be trouble free, because troubles are part of our existence, and trouble help us develop. They are like class tests. Like you are in the school and you're supposed to write examinations. The examinations, you see it as a tribulation or trial, but it is what actually qualifies you for the next level of your education. So in life is a very big school, and then we have our own trials and tests in life. And this test in life will qualify us for our next evolution, or our next development, or our next incarnation. So when we talk about knowing what to do to mitigate the impact, we are not saying that you're not going to face any difficulty in life. What I'm trying to say, once you know what to do, and what is required of you and what is expected of you from the universe, you will be able to know when the test comes or when the trial comes. You know exactly what to do to surmount the trial, or you understand why that test is happening to you. Because once you have understanding of something, you're not worried. But we worry because we don't understand what is happening to us. So we ask, why me? Why is this misfortune hitting me? Why is this sickness? Why is this losing of my job, my company collapsing, and all these things? But once you understand why they are happening, and you know exactly what to do to surmount it, then I think you don't have a problem. Or if you know that, okay, this is for a purpose, and it is for this period, and after this period is going to serve its purpose and then fade out, then I continue with my next phase of life, it's not going to disturb me that. But because of our ignorance with regards to the unknown and the uncertainty, when these things happen, then we are worried, and then this worry will lead to depression, frustration, anxiety, and will lead to all sort of sicknesses affecting our organs physically. So we are going to enter into the individual effect that the energy would have on the various people. Because as I said in the previous video, it's not going to be a wholesale thing. It's going to be an individual experiences that we're all going to have. By the time somebody is marrying, somebody is going through divorce. By the time somebody is having a job, somebody is being fired. So we're going to have an individual experience of the impact of the energy that controls 2023 on our lives, and how we and what we need to know in order to mitigate our way through the impact, so that at the end of the day, collectively, it will be beneficial to all humanity. So we are going to enter into the various effects that the planet is going to have on the individual houses. As I told you earlier on, we have 12 houses or 12 categories of human beings, which we call the houses, or when we go to the zodiac, they call the zodiac signs. And each house, depending on the time and what is required of that house, and the kind of impact the energy will exert on that particular house. So let's say when you come to house one, the kind of requirement or expectation the energy is requiring from all those born under that native will be different from those born under the native of the third house. So we're not going to have that wholesale prediction that people are going to have. But collectively, if we all align towards the negative part of ourselves, then collectively we're going to have a very catastrophic or a very difficult year. And collectively, if we all align to the positive part of ourselves, then collectively you're going to have a very fine and a very blissful year. And that is where the collective or the wholesale prediction comes in. But it's going to happen on an individual level. So please, we are going to enter into these things. For the year 2023, the first house are people who are born from 21st of March to 19th of April. So when you're born on the 21st of March to on the 19th of April, this period, that means when you're born 21st March, 22nd March, 23rd March, 24th March, until on the 19th of April. This is going to be the adverse effect. There is a positive effect, which, because it's positive, we don't need to worry ourselves about it, because it's not going to have any negative or adverse effect, and it's not going to bring any worry or problem to our lives. So it's a benefit for us, so we don't really need to worry about it. Though we should know the benefits so that we know how to take advantage of the benefit and utilize it for the collective good of humanity. But I don't want to focus more on the positive, but I want to focus more on the negative and how what you're supposed to do in order to mitigate that negative effect so that the positive will maximize. So those born in the first house, that means if you're a native born from 21st of March to April 19th, the effect that the energy that rules 2023 is going to have on you is that, one, you're going to have mental stress. Two, you're going to have a decline in your health. Three, you're going to have increase in your expenditure. And automatically, when you have increase in your expenditure, you expect that your savings will decrease. But the more you spend, the lesser you can save. But the less you spend, the more you can save. So there's going to be increase in your expenditure and decrease in your savings. And then you're going to have an issues with marital problem. You're going to have marital discord. And then if you're not married, or you're in a relationship, either in courtship or you're dating somebody, there's going to be that misunderstanding in your relationship, either with friends, with business partners, and then with your date, so whoever you are dating. What kind of relationship you have? Those born under this group, this native house, would have these problems. I'll go by it very quickly again. The negative effects are: you're going to have mental stress, health decline, increase in expenditure, decrease in savings, marital discord, and relationship misunderstanding. Now, what are you supposed to do in order to mitigate or in order to remedize this negative effect in your life? Born under this house of 21st March to 19th April, what you have to do is, one, you avoid taking loans. Why are you supposed to avoid taking loans? You're supposed to avoid taking loans because, why? There will be a decrease in your savings. And as there's a decrease in your savings, there's a tendency that you will not be able to fulfill your loan obligations to the facility where you contracted the loan, in the bank or financial institution that you contracted the loan. Now, you must have a very transparent discussion to avoid the misunderstanding. We already done one of the negative effects that you're going to have a misunderstanding in your relationships. So in order to avoid those misunderstandings and for people not to take undue advantages of the inclarity in your communication, you must always make sure that everything you say or every communication you have with your friends, with your spouse, with your siblings, with your children, you must speak very clearly and make your point very transparent. Don't try to hide things and speak in adages and all those things. Else people will misconstrue what you say and they're going to have misunderstanding with you. Because already the energy is exerting that negative pressure on you. So in order to avoid that people misunderstanding what you say and then creating that discord and marital confusion and relationship problems and all those things, make sure all your communications are very transparent. Speak to the understanding of the people you communicate with or you have a relationship with. Two, you must avoid red color clothing. In the year 2023, if you're born under this first house, you must avoid wearing red colored clothing. If possible, use more of white clothing or yellow clothing or white and yellow mix. And one of the things that you can do is occasionally you can go to the zoo and feed monkeys at the zoo. That is, you have the opportunity. And outside of the world, where we are in the tropics, we have access to monkeys because we are in the tropics. So that if you are not in the tropics and then you live in a more urbanized community where you can have access to monkeys is to visit the zoo. So occasionally, once every quarter of the year, you can go to the zoo and then feed monkeys. Now we are going to the second house. Now, with the second house has to do with people who are born from April 20th to May 20th. So if you are born from April 20th to the 1st April to the 2nd April to the 3rd April, until 20th of May, you are a native of the second house. Now, natives of this house are going to have this adverse effect emanating from the energy which is ruling the year 2023, and that is one, you're going to have financial crisis. So people from this native house would be faced with financial crisis and the possibility of theft. There's a tendency that people will steal your belongings, or there will be robbery or theft possibilities. Now, there's also the possibility of mental disease which is related to your psyche, to your mind. And then there's a possibility of having eye issues. And you should be mindful of your conversations as well. You should be very mindful of your conversations. And these things are non-geographical. It doesn't matter where you are. You can be in Africa, you can be in North America, Latin America, you can be in Europe, you can be in Asia. It doesn't matter where you are. This is a universal impact of the energy which is ruling the year 2022. No matter where you are, no matter where you are born, these are the things you're going to experience as individuals. So you should be mindful of your conversations, because you are going to have issues with disputes. And on trivial issues, you're going to have issues with disputes. Now, what is going to happen is that if you want to remedize such situations, that is the people born under the native of the second house, what you have to do is to feed street dogs, dogs that are homeless. Okay, you should feed them. If possible, provide shelter for them and safeguard your home and belongings because of the possibility of theft. You need to safeguard your home and your belongings. That means keep your belongings properly and protect your belongings properly. You see, so these are the remedies that you need to have, or you need to put in place if you are born under the second house. Now, if you are a native of the second house. Now we go to the native of the third house. That means people who are born under the influence of the third house, and these are the category of people born from May 21st to June 20th. Now, people born under this house, there's a third house, from May 21st to June 20th. That means May 20th, 21st, May 22nd, May 23rd, May up until June 20th. This is what is going to happen. And I think that these people are not too much adversely affected by the impact of the energy. Now, one, if you're a student, you receive the desired outcome of your career. That means that when you're a student and you graduate within this space, within this year, if you're born under the third house, which is from May 21st to June 20th, you graduate as a student. Once you come out, you have job security. You're gonna have your job. And those born under this native who already have work employment will make a lot of gains and successes. So that means that when you are born under this house, you're a native of this house, and you're already employed, you're going to have great success. Now, if you're a student, if you're a student, you're still schooling, that you're going to have marvelous performance in your education. And all those born under this house who are looking for a job are going to land their dream jobs. Society is going to give you fame and respect. And you're going to have normal relationships. See, but generally what you have to do is to watch your health properly, take good care of your health, because of all these good things. There's a tendency of not paying good attention to your health, because things will be going well for people born under this third house. So then there's a probability of having health challenges. Now, what you need to do as a remedy to that means facilitate the unfoldment of all these things is to apply turmeric on your forehead. Maybe before you go to sleep, you can apply turmeric on your forehead, or maybe you can apply the turmeric on your forehead and then rub it when you're going to town. Rub it till it's invisible to other people before you go to town. Now we proceed to the fourth house, which is people born from 21st of June to July 22nd. That means you are born from 21st of June to July 22nd. You are a native of the fourth house. Now, the effect that the energy is going to have on people in the fourth house or natives of the fourth house is that such natives, they should be very, very, very careful when they are driving because they are prone to accidents. So when you are driving, you should be very, 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 very mindful, very, very cautious, and very, very careful. So if you are born within that time, 21st June to July 22nd, be careful when you are driving. You must also take good care of your mother. If that is your mother is alive, not your parent. When your mother is alive, you should be very mindful of your mother's health. Then take good care of your mother's health. You're going to have financial up and downs. This is not financial crisis. The previous house will be faced with, I think the second house will be faced with financial crisis. That means there's going to be a huge problem with their finances. But in your case, people born under this native, you're going to have financial crisis. So you're going to have financial up and down. So there are times within a year your finances will be good, and there are times your finances will dwindle downwards. So now you should be very careful of how you manage funds or money when they come to you. And also you should avoid buying properties in this period. Because the reason why you should avoid buying properties in this period is that there's going to be issues with property disputes. If that's the negative effect, we're going to have issues with property disputes. So if you're going to have issues with property disputes, it is very prudent that you do not invest into property acquisition in order to avoid the disputes, so that it may not lead to financial losses or loss of investment. Now, the remedy that is in place for people in the fourth house is that you keep a silver coin in your wallet or in your purse. If you're a man, men use wallet, and I think ladies use purse, depending on whichever tradition you are and how the language is interchanged. So you put it in your wallet or in your purse, a silver coin, pure silver coin, put it in your wallet or in your purse and carry it along with you. It's going to mitigate some of these things. And then engage in spiritual practice. You must engage in spiritual practice. As I already mentioned earlier in the previous video, that the year 2023, the energy that is controlling that year is an energy of spirituality. It fosters spirituality and fosters living in harmony with the natural environment. So as part of your responsibility and as part of what is expected of you in order to mitigate or to remedize the problem which will confront you as a native of the fourth house is to engage in spiritual practice. Now we proceed to that of the fifth house. Now the fifth house has to do with people born from July 23rd to August 22nd. July 23rd to August 22nd. These are the natives of the fifth house. Now the natives of this fifth house, they're going to have high expenses. That's the effect they're going to experience. They're going to have high expenses. They are going to have problems with their children. That is when they are married or they have kids. They're going to have problems with their children. That means that when you have your children are kids, okay, they will not get close to you. They will not come to you to play with you and all those things. And if they are old enough, that is, if they are able to use their own selective intelligence, they will not consult you when they are doing things. So when your kids are younger, let's say 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years thereabout, they will not come close to you to play with you as they do in the previous years. But don't let it bother you. It's just the energy unfolding itself. So you now knowing what is in stock for you this year with regards to your children, you will know how to adapt ways in order to absorb them and then put them to the side. Now, when your children are much more older and they're able to use their own discretion or selective intelligence, what they would have consulted you in the previous years about, this year, they will consult you. They will do this independent of you. And that shouldn't disturb you because you are aware that this is what is going to unfold. Then these are the experiences and the effects you're going to have with the energy that is ruling this year. Now, avoid investing or buying property. The natives of this fifth house also must avoid investing or buying properties, and they must take good care of their health, because you are going to have health challenges. Now, the remedy to this effect will be to give charity to the needy and the poor. That means giving alms and then assistance to the needy and the poor. And I've always advocated that charity begins at home. Some people wouldn't help the needy in their houses or within their families, but they'll go out there and do a lot of good to orphanage homes. But the real essence of charity should be felt by people that are around you. So when you are supposed to do your charity, you must first look at your immediate environment, and you can extend the help to a much broader scope and then take it outside. So that is my personal advice anyway. That your charity must begin with people around you, because the people closest to you are the people that channel energy to you. So if the people that is closer to you are able to channel energy to you because of the way you treat them, because they are in problem, they are in need, or they have some kind of financial crisis or something like that, and you don't extend help to them and they don't channel good energy to you, what is going to happen is that they're going to create negative vibration into your aura, or into your energy, so it's going to affect you. So if you want to do your charity, you must make sure that you start from the people closest to you. Before, if you have access, you can extend it to the charity homes. Now, you must also donate bananas if you want to do your charity to the children's homes or charity organizations or orphanages. It's better to donate bananas and black colored cloth. So maybe you can buy blankets, you can buy clothes, dresses, or whatever. Then use the black colored clothes and then use bananas. Those are the remedy that you need to mitigate the effect of the fifth house natives. Now we move on to the sixth house. Now with the sixth house are people that are born August 23rd to September 22nd. August 23rd to September 22nd. Now these people, or these natives of this sixth house, would have people conspiring against them. So there's going to be that conspiracy from your relation, either be your business partner, your friend, and all those things. Now, because of the possibility of conspiracy, having business partnership is not advisable. It's not the best in this year. So you should be mindful when you are engaging in any form of business partnership. Those who are born in the sixth house, which is 23rd August to September 22nd, I repeat, you should be mindful when you are engaging in business partnership, because it is not the best of time to engage in business partnership. Do not trust anybody regarding your business. If you are born as a native of the sixth house, which is August 23rd to September 22nd, do not trust anybody regarding your business. Be responsible for your business. Make sure you check everything by yourself. Do not mandate or delegate responsibilities with regards to your business. Even when you delegate responsibilities, make sure you finally cross-check before any other thing is done. You are more inclined to spirituality. You may have issues with your stomach, your mouth, and your bones. That's the health issues. But these are the areas that you're going to have health issues with your stomach, your mouth, and your bones. So anytime you have issues with your stomach, your mouth, and your bones, do well to give it the necessary attention or consult the physician for appropriate treatment. Now, the remedy to this effect is to pray more mantras. You have different types of mantras. So whichever your faith leads you, pray the mantra within that faith. So we have the Christian mantra, which is the Our Father. We have the Hare Krishna mantra. We have the Buddhist mantra. We have different types of mantras. So whichever mantra your faith leads you, or where you believe, or where you worship, or where you fellowship, pray that the mantra of that faith regularly throughout this year in order to mitigate some of this effect. Now we move on to so that is that is the remedy we have for the sixth house. And then praying mantra, as we said already, that the energy for 2023 has to do with spirituality. So when you watch most of the remedies has to do with spirituality in some way or in some form, or has to do with being responsible for the environment in some way or some form, being in a form of charity or feeding an animal or something. These are the two things that is required of us in 2023, and that is what the universe, the energy that is controlling the year 2023 fosters. Now, in the seventh house, or the native of the seventh house, are people who are born from September 23rd to October 22nd. These are the natives of the seventh house. Now, the effects are that they are going to have a lot of health related issues. They're going to have a lot of health related issues. So they should be mindful of their health. Now, their relationship will be very awful, both with their spouse and with their families. They're going to have a very, very awful relationship. And then they're going to have financial crisis, not financial up and downs. I've clarified that thing already. Not financial up and down, but financial crisis. I mean, there will be problem with their finances. So they should be mindful of that. And this is the remedy to implement in order to mitigate this effect. You must make time for your health. That means you should be concerned. Don't overstress the body. Listen to your body, listen to yourself. And when there's something wrong, you have to seek quick medical intervention or quick medical attention so as to put your body in a good shape. You must wear silver chain. See, so when you have a chain or a necklace, whatever, when a jewel of it, use silver jewelries, which are silver in nature. Later on, we'll talk about the various jewelries and the various house and that. This is a universal remedy. It doesn't matter whether there are some people who silver is not good for them. Okay, because silver is not their lucky jewel. But we are talking about a remedy to mitigate or to minimize the negative effect. See, so use silver chain or jewelry. Avoid red colored jewelries or cloth. So there are certain jewelries which are red colors. For instance, when you take the ruby stone, okay, the ruby stone has that red color jewelry, so that they use it as a ring or kind of locket or something like that, or pendant or something like that. So when you want to wear it, you can buy them, you can have them all right, but in this year 2023, try to avoid jewelries with red pigmentation. Yes. And then speak calmly and be very transparent. Because of the awful relationship you may have with your spouse and families, when you are communicating with your spouse and with your family, make sure that you speak clearly, calmly, and be very, very transparent. Now, let's move on to the eighth house. Now, the eighth house has to do with people born from 23rd October to November 21st. That is the eighth house. Now, people in this house, or the native of this house, that is 23rd October to November 21st, will have problems with their health, but specifically with fever and body aches. See, they will lack peace. They will lack peace of mind, and this will lead to mental stress. They will lack peace of mind, and this will lead to mental stress. Now, what they need to do as a remedy is to make sure they do not miss their meals, which will worsen their health issues. So make sure you don't miss your meals. When you miss your meals, because you already said that you're going to have issues with body aches and fever. Okay, so when you miss your meals, it's going to worsen your health issues. And then You should be inclined towards spirituality. So you see, it's back here again. You should be inclined towards spirituality, knowing very well that the energy that rules this year is fosters spirituality. You should keep and nurture black dogs. So you can buy a black dog and then take care and nurture it, and spend more time with spiritual groups. So if you have spiritual fraternities that you spend time with them, spiritual brothers, you can look for ashrams or spiritual temples where you can go, or religious that are more spiritually oriented. Because and now a lot of religions in this world are carnally or materialistic. You understand? So look for spiritual groups, not religious groups necessarily. Because there's a clear difference between religion and spirituality. So look for spiritual groups and not religious groups. You can have some of them online, join some groups online which are spiritual groups to associate, and that is going to boost your vibration and energy in order to mitigate this effect. Now with the ninth house, I think we previously treated the eighth house. So we are in the ninth house. In the ninth house are people born on the from the 22nd of November to 21st of December. These are natives of the ninth house. Now these natives have the opportunity to school abroad. That is when they have the desire to school out of their country of origin or their native country. That opportunity is there for them to school abroad. They have the opportunity to work abroad as well. That is when they have the desire to work outside their country. Not all people want to work outside their native country. But if you have the desire to work out of your native country, that opportunity is there to work abroad. There's a tendency that you'll be bent towards physical and mental pain. So you must watch that area as well. Avoid arguments with your children and try to share good times with them. So don't argue with your kids, okay? No matter what it is, just find a proper way of dealing with them and don't argue with them. Now the remedy is that do moderate spending. The remedy is to do moderate spending. Donate clothes and blankets to the needy. So when you have a charity home, you can get some clothes and get some blankets and some dresses and all those things and donate to the needy. And also avoid red colored clothes. So don't use dresses that are red color. Avoid them. That is the remedy for the people or the natives of the ninth house. Now with the tenth house are people born from 22nd December to June from December 22nd to January 19th. These are people born in the 10th house, the natives of the 10th house. And these are the effects that they are going to have. There is going to be an effect on one's finances. So those born or the natives of this 10th house, that is December 22nd to January 19th, there's going to be a negative effect on your finances. There will be increase in troubles in your life that will lead to mental stress. So there will be increase. We all have troubles, as I said already. Life is troubles and resources, but in this situation or in this year, your troubles will be increased. And if you don't take time, you don't handle it properly, it's going to lead to mental stress. So you must be able to handle your troubles properly, and they are going to increase. Every single thing will cause you trouble, cause you problem. But be patient with yourself and then go through it, so that in order to avoid you going to a state of disorderliness. When it comes to your professional life, there is going to be some kind of elusive regression. That means that so there's going to be some kind of setbacks. It's going to happen in your professional life. So whichever work, whether you're a private entrepreneur or you are an employee or you are an employer or you are an investor, whichever profession you have, there's going to be some kind of regression. There's going to be some kind of setbacks. So be informed that this is what is going to happen. There will be lack of confidence to face problems. I told you that your problems will increase. And there's a tendency that you lack the confidence to face your problem and to handle them. And that is what is going to lead to mental stress. So please try and be in the balance and be in the know. So when the problem begins to unfold, you gather the necessary energy. Now the remedy to be able to gather the necessary energy to face your problem and to kind of hold that retrogression that's going to happen in your professional life is one, always keep silver items with you when you're going out. Silver item can be a silver coin, a silver jewelry, but anything which is silver, keep it on you. It can be in your wallet or it can be a necklace or bracelet. Keep it on you when you're going out. And you must always keep your faith and be around people with positive minds. You see, so you must, because of your inability or the lack of confidence to face your problems head on, we need people to encourage you. So you must always be around positive minded people, okay, and people with a lot of faith who can speak life and can speak confidence to you to help you gather the necessary energy to face your problems. And you yourself must maintain faith and believe in yourself in order to be able to stand and face your problems. Now we are going to go to the 11th house, which is the natives of the 11th house are those born from January 20th to February 18th. These are the natives of the 11th house, which is the last but one house. And what is going to happen is that they are going to have a lot of profit in their businesses when they start business. So natives of this house must try to start a business this year. If you're a native of this house, which is the 11th house, that means if you're born from January 20th to February 18th, you must, if you have an idea to start a business, you must start a business this year. Start that business this year. Now, there's the prospects of making profits, but the issue also has to be that you have to keep it in the balance. So you must consult to know what business is appropriate for you due to your element or based on your element. Because the fact that the energy which is controlling this year is favoring doesn't mean just any business will do. Because you must know, because if you're a fire element, you're a water element, you're an air element, you're an earth element, there are certain businesses which are good for you. So you may have all the indicators favoring you, but when you choose the wrong profession, you're going to be like a round pearl in square holes. You wouldn't fit, and then you think that it didn't work out for you this year. But when you're able to do the necessary consultation, and then you have the right profession or the right business you start with this year, and you start that business this year, if you're born under this native, there's no way you would miss the profits. And if you want, you can consult the Way Network. Our contact numbers are there. We can help you identify what business is appropriate for you based on your element and the time you were born and in connection with your identity, which is your name. We can tell you what business, when you invest money in, will be profitable. And then when you're born under this native and then you invest money into it, it is automatic that you will make profits. So take note of that. You should be mindful of the choice of business, irrespective of the fact that all the indicators are positive towards your prosperity or your profit making. And if you want that service, you can consult us by calling the number there or visiting our YouTube channel and then contacting us through any other social media handle. You get to our office location in Kaswa, just opposite the commercial bank behind Fidelity Bank at Kaswa New Market. The office is open, and then you can come for those service. Now, you have an increase in your income, or you have a satisfactory increase in your income. Because when you invest in business, it's going to work for you. So once the business this year it favors you starting a business, when you start a business and you start a right business which is in line with your natural capability and natural potential and your elements, you are going to have increase in profit. You're going to have satisfactory income. But you must learn to control your expenses in order to avoid troubles. Your children, you are ready for marriage, if you're a child and what, or if you're a young person and you want to marry, this is the right time for you to do so. Now, when it comes to the remedy, you must dedicate some time for meditation and prayers. So it comes back to, so when you watch all the remedies you have outlined, okay, all the remedies that we have has to do with either spiritual, one form of spirituality, or some form of taking care or living in harmony with the natural environment and the world and the people around you. So with the native of the 11th house, the remedy they have is to dedicate some time for meditation and prayers. And meditation is being in a state of silence briefly. For the benefit of those who have no idea about what meditation is basically being in a state of silence in order to connect your higher self to the source, so that you can be able to expand your intuition and receive inner directions. And prayer is medium through which you communicate to the higher source. So when you are praying, you are telling your source what you want or the problems. But in meditation, you keep quiet to listen to what that source has to say. But in our modern world, the problem we have mostly in the churches, they tell their source what they want, or they tell God what they want, but they have no business to listen to what God has to say to them. So they come to church, they pray, blah, 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 and they leave and go. You understand? So that is the problem. So you have to meditate and you have to pray. And then second, you have to go to temples oftenly. So a place that you deem as a spiritual center, be it a temple, a church, whatever you deem, a mosque, whatever you deem as a spiritual center that your faith leads you must frequent the place more often. Okay, that is so as your vibration and your aura will be lifted up in order to be able to handle the situation that will unfold before you in the year 2023. You must worship the Creator, whichever form you conceive it to be, whichever way you conceive it or you perceive it to be. So you must engage in worshiping Creator. And, when you say worshiping Creator, it's not about going to a physical edifice like a church room or a vault or something, and then you go and sing. Yes, it is fine. It is part of it. But when the worship of the Creator, it's an everyday lifestyle, reverencing all creation, because the Creator is known through its creation. So when you have respect for nature, you live in harmony with everything around you, with the universe, with the environment and everything. That is worshiping the Creator. That is the ultimate responsibility in worship, actually, in service to the Creator. Okay? So worship here was used as in service to the Creator. Because man was created to take care of God's creation. Okay? So that responsibility is there. So taking care of the environment, being loving to people, being loving to animals, being loving to nature. When you see things in wrong direction, you see there's depletion of an environment, people don't give an environment needs. You should be responsible for all those things, and that is service to the Creator, whichever form or way you perceive it to be. You must try as much as possible to worship and serve that Creator. Now, the final house we're going to talk about, which is the 12th house, and these are natives born from 19th February to 20th of March, and that is the final house we're going to talk about, which is the 12th house. Now, natives of this house would have disputes with their spouse. This is something is not happy. So you need to be careful about that. That is, if you are married, you have disputes with your wife. If you are in a relationship, courtship, or you are dating somebody, you're going to have disputes with the person. You're going to have issues. You're going to have issues with your in-laws. That is, when you're married, that means your spouse's parents and family. You're going to have issues with them, and you will not have their support because of the dispute you're having with them. With spiritual inclination, you can deal with this issue so easily. So you must be more spiritually inclined, listen to your intuition when things are happening. Don't act out of emotion. Don't act out of feeling, but rather listen to your intuition, listen to your spiritual guidance, listen to your inner voice, and then act according to the direction of your inner voice, and then things will be fine. But when you want to act according to emotions and feelings, and according to how people are reacting towards you, you're always going to have problems with your in-laws and with your spouse and with people you are in relationship with. There is a possibility of deformation, so you have to be careful. People will do things to bring you down. Okay, talk ill about you, and then so many things that will affect your personality negatively. So you have to be very, very careful when dealing with people. You must also not take loan or lend money to anyone, because the point is that they are not going to pay. But when you take loans, you cannot pay. If you want to lend money to somebody, do it in a form of charity. You assist the person, let the person, but don't lend the money to the person that you want to take it back. Now, the remedy to such natives or this native under the 12 hours is to observe fasting on Thursday. That is to fast on Thursdays, every Thursday, not necessarily every time, every other Thursday. You can observe a fasting and prayer, and you must also worship your Creator in service at home, whichever form or shape or way you perceive it to be. This is what you need to do as a remedy to mitigate the negative effects of the energy which is controlling the year 2023 in your house. That's the native of the 12 house, people born from February 19th to March 20th. This is what we need to do. So basically, we've come to the end of the individual effect of the energy which is controlling 2023, the year 2023, and what we need to do as a people in order to mitigate the effect. Now, if you observe, all the remedies we have has to do with taking care of the universe, taking care of the environment, and building our spirituality. And one of the most important ways, or the most easiest way to develop your spirituality, is to realize who you are. Self-realization is the only conduit, the only key, and the only door to spirituality. Without self-realization, all other things you're doing has nothing to do with spirituality. It all has to do with intellectualism. So any institution, any religious body, any form of sect or organization that intends to teach you spirituality but is void of self-realization, that institution, religious body, or sect, irrespective of who controls that sect or who is in charge or who is teaching, is not leading you to the right source. But the only way, which is the way to the source of spirituality, is self-realization. You must realize who you are, because you are at the center of everything. Everything is happening because you are alive. And the day you die, all things does not matter. You are here and you are you. And everything is happening because of you. And everything begins with you. And everything will end with you. And that self we are talking about is the only thing which is not created. All other things in this physical universe was created. The self was not created. And Bible says, when you take the records of the Holy Scriptures of the Bible, it says that then after God has created all things, so the God of creation created all things and formed man from the dust of the ground. Therefore, man to receive consciousness, he has to give man a self. But that self was not created. He said, and he breathed into man a breath of life. And man became a conscious soul, a living soul. That breath, that holy breath, is what you call the self. And that is who you are. It is beyond your personality. It is beyond time and space. It has never been created and will never be created. It was there before the earth, the universe was created. And that self, in some part of the Bible, has been referred to as the Christ. Okay? Some part of that has been referred to as the Christ. That is why Paul puts it in a very wonderful way, which I love. It says that to whom this secret shall be revealed, that Christ in him, the hope of God. That is the self within your personality. That is the intelligence beyond everything, behind everything which is happening in and around you. Is the all-knowing intelligence, is the omnipresent intelligence, and the all-powerful intelligence. And that is the self, is the absolute reality beyond all intelligences. It is never created and it will never be created. It has no beginning and it has no end. It is beyond Alpha and it is beyond the Omega. And that is what is you. And that is why the universal power that created the universe called God with its angelic host. Later on we will talk about all these terminologies because they are not what really they are, but that's a human language to express that nature. So that intelligence that created the whole universe called God the Creator, with its angelic host, which is army that he uses to create the world, is doing everything to protect man. And the so-called satanic forces or the adverse energy is doing everything to destroy man. That means there's a treasure in man. And that treasure is what we call the self. And that is your personality. That's who. It is beyond your personality. That is what produces and manifests your personality and everything within and without. So please, let your search begins with you and your spirituality begins with the development of the self. And once you realize who you are, you can find the way to express your spiritual nature. Because that self is spiritual. That self is divine. That self is sublime. That self is without blemish. So I'll draw down the curtain for today's lectures. And in our next video, we will be treating or we'll be talking about this self. What is the nature of this self? The purpose of this self? How to find this self? Because the main purpose of the Way Network is to let you identify yourself, develop the self, and then at the end of the day, find the purpose and the destiny of that self. That is the whole journey of man on earth. All other things you are doing are just here and there. I wouldn't use the word useless, but are not so much of importance, just as the knowledge of finding who you are. Thank you very much. God bless you, and let love and truth lead you.